The federal trial of Sean Diddy Combs has been one of the most shocking legal sagas in recent memory. In the first 4 weeks alone, the courtroom has heard allegations of violence, trafficking, drug abuse, and intimidation. Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges including racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. If convicted on all counts, he faces up to life in prison. This video breaks down the biggest testimony moments so far. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Jury selection began May 5th. A jury of 8 men and 4 women was seated by May 12th. May 13th to 16th, opening statements were delivered. Prosecutors claimed Combs led a criminal enterprise, while the defense said domestic violence didn't equal sex trafficking. LAPD officer Israel Flores and Daniel Phillip testified about violent incidents involving Cassie Ventura. Cassie took the stand and described years of abuse, control, and being forced into drug-fueled freak-offs. She admitted to opiate dependency and said she was blackmailed with sex tapes. She claimed Diddy installed cameras in their shared home, monitored her calls, and became enraged whenever she tried to leave him. Cassie also detailed an incident where Diddy allegedly threw a phone at her during an argument, leaving a visible bruise she later concealed during a public appearance. On May 16th, she concluded her emotional testimony, stating she'd trade her $20 million settlement to have never endured the trauma. Don Richard corroborated abuse claims, and Agent Yasin Binda testified about drugs found in Combs' hotel room. May 19th to 20th, Don Richard returned describing frequent abuse. Carrie Morgan, Cassie's former best friend, testified Combs choked her and hit her with a hanger. David James, a former assistant, said he fetched supplies for freak-offs. Regina Ventura, Cassie's mother, wired Combs $20,000 out of fear. Exotic dancer Sheree Hayes testified he was paid to sleep with Cassie while Combs watched. May 21st to 22nd, Agent Gerard Gannon testified about firearms and drugs found in Combs' Miami home. Psychologist Dawn Hughes spoke about trauma cycles in abuse victims. George Kaplan, a former assistant, testified to prepping hotel rooms and seeing abuse. Week 2 also saw Kid Cudi take the stand, delivering one of the most unexpected testimonies so far. He recounted a disturbing 2011 incident where his car was firebombed shortly after tensions escalated between him and Diddy after dating Cassie. Cudi testified that his dog was found locked in a room, shaken but unharmed. While he never directly accused Diddy of the crime, he stated under oath that Diddy had previously made a veiled threat saying, "You're going to regret crossing me." Kid Cudi's testimony drew audible reactions from the gallery and underscored the growing narrative of retaliation. Capricorn Clark said Combs once showed up to her house with a gun and threatened to kill Kid Cudi. May 27th to 29th. Police confirmed Kid Cudi's car was intentionally targeted. Deontay Nash testified about abuse and threats involving Cassie. Mia, a former close associate and live-in employee, gave a harrowing account of Diddy's alleged tactics of isolation and financial control. Said she was sexually assaulted and felt psychologically trapped. The defense showed friendly past messages, but Mia said they were part of the cycle of control. She claimed she was forced to cut ties with her family, denied access to personal banking, and manipulated into staying quiet through a mix of threats and dependency. Mia described incidents where she was screamed at for speaking to male guests and eventually fired without warning. June 2nd to 3rd, Sylvia Oken from the Beverly Hills Hotel confirmed additional cleaning fees after Combs' stays. Security guard Eddie Garcia said Combs paid him $100,000 for hotel surveillance footage and had him sign an NDA. CFO Derek Ferguson testified on finances. June 4th, forensic expert Frank Piazza confirmed the 2016 video was authentic and enhanced 10 sex tapes. Frank Piazza testified that security staff signed comprehensive NDAs and were trained to be invisible. He recounted watching footage where a guest was physically restrained by security and was later told it was handled internally. Piazza also confirmed that the security team routinely erased surveillance tapes on command. Brianna Bongolan testified Combs held her over a 17-story balcony. Defense disputed her timeline using hotel receipts. Brianna Bongolan, who previously worked in an executive assistant role, spoke about the intense surveillance inside Diddy's homes. According to her, rooms were bugged, phones were monitored, and both staff and guests were watched via hidden cameras. She described a disturbing environment where younger women were invited to parties and then subtly pressured into compliance. She admitted to not witnessing sexual assault directly but stated, It was the kind of place where you learned quickly to look away. Enrique Santos testified about extracting data from Ventura's iPhones. June 5th to 6th. A woman identified as Jane testified her identity was protected and her face was obscured in court. She testified that she was invited to a VIP networking event in 2019, only to be drugged and wake up partially undressed in a guest bedroom. She tearfully explained that she'd felt trapped inside the house and that another woman whispered to her, "Just smile and leave quietly." Combs pressured her into hotel sex encounters involving multiple men. She described feeling degraded, sick, and dependent on Combs' financial support. On June 6th, she continued testifying about the emotional and physical toll of the hotel nights and will continue to testify on Monday morning, so stay tuned to hear the full testimony. In just 3 weeks, the Diddy trial has revealed a disturbing web of control, intimidation, and alleged abuse involving one of hip-hop's most influential figures. With testimony from ex-partners, employees, and anonymous victims, the prosecution has begun building a pattern, one that, if believed, paints Diddy not just as a powerful mogul, but as a man who allegedly used that power to silence and dominate. The defense maintains that all allegations are false and driven by opportunism. But public opinion is shifting, and the courtroom atmosphere is growing more intense with each session. What happens next could reshape the entertainment industry's culture of silence and accountability. Stay subscribed for the next wave of testimony and legal developments as this historic case continues to unfold. And that's where the Diddy trial stands after 4 weeks. From Cassie to Kid Cudi, from hidden drugs to alleged sex trafficking, this case is far from over. Subscribe to the channel for ongoing coverage as more shocking revelations unfold.